on the UTSA Roadrunners Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. This is the Steve Henson Radio Show, brought to you by Bud Light, game day's favorite light lager. Credit Human, the official credit union of UTSA Roadrunners. H-E-B, no store does more than H-E-B. And by Methodist Healthcare, the official hometown healthcare provider of UTSA Athletics. Now, live at the Sandbox near the campus of UTSA, this is the Steve Henson Radio Show. Here is your host, the voice of the Roadrunners, Andy Everett.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome aboard. It's time for the Steve Henson Show, presented by Methodist Healthcare, and we are live from the Sandbox. UTSA is coming off a split on the road at Western Kentucky and Marshall. They're tied for first place with 3 losses. A couple of other teams in the mix as well in Conference USA, and back home this week for the Florida schools. Welcome, Steve. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great, Andy.
And especially after a big win on Saturday against Marshall. And, man, that was make your heart stop 2 or 3 times in that game with all the scoring and the way the game ended and then the way everybody performed in overtime.
Yeah, that was quite the trip for us, and it was just good to get that win. You know, the way all the drama that was involved. We had a chance to win both games really in regulation and let one get away on Thursday. But really proud of the way our guys handled it on Saturday after we once again looked like we had the game in hand near the end of regulation, made a few plays that turned it in Marshall's favor. Sent it to overtime, and then we came out in overtime, and we're just awfully good in the overtime.
I talked to you about this Saturday after the Marshall game, and you said it Thursday after the Western Kentucky game. We got to find a way to win these kind of games, and you certainly did on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we were just sick after the game Thursday. I mean, Javon goes for 46. If a guy goes for 46, you need to find a way to win the game. And we were in position. You know, we had the ball. We were up 4 with the lead, a minute and a half to go, and just a couple things went the wrong way. They weren't even bad decisions, just kind of fluke things, and we didn't get it done, and they had the momentum, and Western got us Thursday night. But yeah, then we come back. Would have been saying the same thing. We come back Saturday, and Keaton gets 45. You got to find a way to win if you got a guy get 45 in one game, and we did. So it was good.
Speaking of Keaton and Javon, they're co-players of the week in Conference USA. The two combined for 147 points in 2 games. That's pretty good.
Yeah, those two. It was phenomenal. I mean, everybody was doing their part, but those guys each had one of those special nights, and on both occasions, when one of them had a crazy night, the other guy had a pretty good night as well. It kind of gets overlooked, but we needed it. You know, obviously we needed every one of them to find a way to get that win at Marshall, and you know, just so much on the line. We needed to get a road win. We needed to get a quality win. You mentioned the standings. You know, we're fighting to hang in there at the top of the league, and getting those road wins. And that's a tough trip. You know, logistically, the travel's tough. Long bus rides and connections, and it's pretty taxing. So to come out of there with that win was really, really good.
Yeah, Javon and Keaton, by the way, are second in the nation as far as tandem scoring. The other two are pretty good too, Barrett and Williamson at Duke.
Yeah, those guys, pretty good company. Pretty good company. But, yeah, those two have continued to just get better and better. You know, their numbers were terrific. Last year, they were really good in the non-conference. Now the conference play started, they've taken it to another level. So that's really, really good to see.
I was doing a segment just a few minutes ago on our flagship station's show just before with Chris Duell. And I said the college game is getting more and more, I think, like the NBA game or the international game, where the spacing is open. You're seeing a lot of shots, a lot of possessions. And the game at Marshall and UTSA, if you had just – you know, kind of Photoshop the uniforms and putting the Golden State Warriors and whoever out there, it would have been a similar type game because you had 4 guys with the 2 for UTSA and the 2 for Marshall running up and down the floor shooting a lot of threes.
Yeah, no question. That's the way the game is evolving. You know, there's just fewer and fewer post touches, fewer and fewer back to the basket shots. It's a combination of people studying the numbers and players just becoming better 3-point shooters. So the ability to space the floor and play fast and have 5 guys out on the floor that can make plays and handle the ball, and that is a fun way to play. And you know, Marshall really exaggerates it. You know, they never ever throw it in the post. We rarely do, but they're a whole other level with that. You know, they take an incredibly high percentage of threes. We take a lot of threes, especially with a couple of our guys. But yeah, I anticipated that being a fun game for the fans. It was a fun game for us when it turned out that way, and I think it's good for the game.
Well, lost in the mix of Keaton scoring 45 and Javon scoring 30 was the play of Atem Bior. He had a double-double, and as you said Saturday after the game, we needed every one of them.
Yeah, Atem was really, really good in that ball game. He's been doing a great job. You know, some of the stuff he does doesn't correlate or doesn't translate on the stat sheet, but defensively he's been good for us all year long, and he threw in some points and rebounds against Marshall, but again, defensively down the stretch, when we needed to get stops, he was the guy that was in there. Nick had fouled out, and Byron was kind of in and out, was pretty tired at that point. And Atem challenged some shots at the rim. He was able to switch on to Elmore and Burks and show his body in front of those guys to get them out of rhythm a little bit, and it was a big part of what we did. We just had, we're kind of trading baskets there for a while, but then when we finally did get a stop, it seemed like Atem was involved with every one of those stops.
He'll be our guest here in just a little while. We'll talk to him in less than 10 minutes here on the Steve Henson Show this evening. I think that it's overlooked by fans how difficult it is to win on the road. You mentioned our travel, and you're out of your routine. When you're on campus, when you're at home, there's a routine that you go through. You go to practice every day. You eat meals usually around the same time. When you go on the road, all that changes because you're at the mercy of commercial airlines, sometimes delays, bus rides that are 4 hours plus between cities sometimes because it's easier to get there than it is to try to have a connecting flight. And it's when you can win on the road, that's special. And the best teams figure out a way to get that done. Yeah,
you're exactly right. You have to have a mindset. You have to have a mature group. You've got to be strong in certain areas of the game. I know we talked about this before we went on the road. You got to take care of the basketball. We did that against Western Kentucky on Thursday night, which was why we had a chance to win the game. I think even with the overtime, we were still under 10 turnovers for 45 minutes worth of action. So you got to take care of the basketball. You have to be mature. You have to be focused. You can't let the crowd have as big an impact as it is going to. The crowds are going to be involved. There's going to be noise and momentum swings, but you got to limit your opponent's runs. You got to take care of the basketball. You got to stay focused and stay together. You got to communicate real well. And I think our group is pretty good in those regards.
You played with some great players in the NBA. Obviously, played with Mitch Richmond at Kansas State when you were in school together, and I think I put him in that class. What is the difference between a player who relishes that atmosphere on the road and the one that gets scared by it?
Yeah, I don't think it's something you can teach. I mean, it's just some guys live for the moment, whether it just be the big moment or being on the road. Some guys are motivated when they hear the crowd get going. Some people thrive when they're getting booed and heckled and all that. You got to find that. You got to find that fine line. The great players do it. They're able to take that and use that as motivation, or maybe it just enhances their focus. Guys handle it different ways, but the great players all seem to do that on the road.
I'm guessing you watched the golf tournament yesterday afternoon before the Super Bowl?
Yes, of course.
And it's the same thing on 16 at Scottsdale. Everybody hits the ball on the green. They get booed if they're not within 10 feet of the hole.
Yeah, you don't anticipate that in golf, but it gives them a little taste of what our guys are dealing with all the time, I guess.
All right, it's the Steve Henson Radio Show. We're out here at the Sandbox. Atem Bior and Dr. Lisa Campos will be joining us in the next couple of segments. We'll talk about the league standings, which are very compacted right now, and get you ready for what should be a very entertaining game on Thursday against Florida International. Hey, fans, become a Texas Farm Bureau Insurance member today and get 2 free tickets to Roadrunner basketball games when you show proof of membership at the ticket office. Visit your local agent's office for details. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, proud sponsor of UTSA Athletics. And don't forget to head over to Taco Palenque before, during, or after the games and enjoy their specialty cocktails on their inviting patio. Let the experience begin at Palenque Grill, proud sponsor of UTSA Athletics. It's the Steve Henson Radio Show from the Sandbox and from Learfield IMG College. We are back out here at the Sandbox, the Steve Henson Radio Show on this Monday evening. Health Texas Medical Group is about your overall well-being, not just your health. Their commitment to you is outstanding care every patient, every time. UTSA plays Florida International on Thursday and Florida Atlantic on Saturday. We'll talk about those games coming up in just a bit. Joining us right now on the show is UTSA forward Atem Bior. Welcome to the program. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being out here. You had a terrific game against Marshall. Tell us a little bit about the double-double that you had. Until Keaton scored 45, I was about to have you on the post-game show, and then I kind of got overruled by that. But it was a pretty good game.
It's overshadowed a little bit. But no, I just went out there and tried to do everything I can for us to get that win. Came right to the stretch, and I just gave it everything. It grabbed a couple extra boards than usual.
What was it about that game that you felt like you could play a little bit better, or the flow of the game? Was it just one of those nights where you just felt pretty good? Just a little bit. Let's move that right there. Okay.
Yeah, I just knew I had to crash the boards that game. It was going to be a very fast-paced game. Marshall was really aggressive in the way they switch and everything. So I knew I'd have opportunities to grab offensive boards, and that's what I just tried to do. So.
Steve, I know when I was talking to you and to the assistants this summer and about the new guys that were coming in, you said we've never had a guy like this, the small power forward, if you will, that's got the versatility to have some quickness, but the strength to be a four-man.
Yeah, A-Tim came in right away and did a fantastic job, and defensively, since he stepped foot on campus, he's been doing some really, really good things for us. Allows us to do something. We talk about Byron Fronin a lot and his versatility defensively. Well, A-Tim's been able to do those exact same things. We call him whatever you want, a power forward, but there's nights when he's doing as good a job as anyone guarding the fives. In our system, we switch so much that he switched on to the guards, and so he and Ian Byron are the two that literally will guard 1 through 5 on any given night. And the Marshall game was especially tricky in that when the 5-man was in there and slipping and rolling, we were going to cover things one way. When the 4-man was in there, we were going to cover them another way. And he and Byron were the two that really had to be locked in with the game plan. And I thought as the game went on, A-Tim got a better feel, maybe better than any of our other big guys, on how to pay extra attention to Elmore and Burks, which is priority number one, but yet not give up on those role guys either, which was, we told those guys, you're going to have to do both. There's no excuses. You got to help on the ball and you got to help on the role guy. And again, we watched defensive clips today, and A-Tim was involved in virtually every stop down the stretch there.
How much does that make you feel when stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet gets recognized by the coaches is helping this team win?
It's great. Coach challenged us this week to be able to do both, be able to help and also, get out to the shooters. And, we took on that challenge as a team, and it really showed,
First handful of games you were a starter until Javon came back. What's been the difference in how you had to prepare for games and know to be ready and come off the bench? You've accepted the role perfectly, but what was going through your mind when you had to make that middle transition?
I'm still approach the game the same way. I know coming off the bench, I just have to keep the energy up, just come help out and be aggressive defensively. And, I knew that we obviously need Javon and his scoring and everything, and just having him on the court out there makes everyone more comfortable.
What's it like for when you're not Javon and Keaton, and one of the two is filling it up, and you know that offensively, if you get them the ball in a position where they're comfortable, chances are they're going to make something good happen.
It's amazing to watch. It's amazing to be out there with them because, we know at any given night they can go off for 10 threes or just, it makes us all comfortable knowing we can be in the game at any point,
And come from behind from any
and come
league,
from
too.
behind, exactly, yeah.
All right, tell me about your path to come to UTSA. Australia, where did you travel through to get to San Antonio?
It's been a journey. I played high school in Australia, and when I got done with high school, I ended up at a Division II college, New Mexico Highlands. Did my redshirt year there, and then played my redshirt freshman year. And, it was awesome. And then decided I wanted to try to get to a Division I level, so I went through to junior college at New Mexico Military, where I was last year. And UTSA, Coach Peck and Coach Hood came and watched me play a few games, and they reached out, and I knew this was the school for me, so yeah.
How'd you get to Australia? What was that like growing up in Australia?
It was great. I moved there when I was 7. From Egypt, actually.
Egypt,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I moved there from Egypt. I was originally born in South Sudan, but yeah, I moved to Australia when I was 7, and it's been amazing.
Was that just a family move? The mom and dad had a job in Australia, so you went there, or how'd that work?
I mean, yeah, we moved there to look for better opportunities to have a better life. There was in South Sudan there's conflict at the time,
Sure.
and my family just wanted to give us better opportunities and be in a safe place.
What was the most fun thing about Australia?
Australia's amazing. There's so much fun things. The weather's always amazing. You can go to the beach anytime. I have a lot of friends back home. Basketball's awesome. So,
Are your parents still there?
Yeah, everyone's still
So
there.
do you get to go back once a year or once every other year? It's
Yeah,
a long journey.
I'm trying to convince Coach Henson to give me a couple weeks off in the summer.
All right. A-Tim just mentioned you guys scouted him last year at the Military Institute in New Mexico. What'd you like about him when you saw him on film and when Coach Peck and Adam and everybody were out there watching him play?
Well, just like everybody we recruit, first thing we asked the coaches about was the character. Is you guys going to come and fit in our locker room? Is he about the right things? Is he going to be about the team? And they answer those questions the way we hope they would. And then just watching him, they saw him in person. I saw him on film. And just his explosiveness, rebounding ability. He just flies to the glass, versatility, all those things. And he's got, a lot of potential offensively. Again, right now we got two guys clicking like that. And, I think you'll continue to see more from A-Tim as he's gotten more comfortable. Early on, we were fighting the turnover deal, and that was, we threw him out there and just we were playing a little bit crazy. As he settled in, he's become a much better player for our team, and it's been fantastic. He's playing 20 minutes a night on a good team, and for junior college guys, sometimes that transition's hard. You take a junior college guy because you hope they're ready,
right,
but sometimes that junior year is kind of tough, and he's made the transition very well. Has had some great drives and finishes here lately. His instincts are good. We're just got a few things we're going to continue to work on. I expect him to finish out this year strong and have a great senior year next year.
What's the one thing you're working on the most right now?
Well, just being able to handle the ball and attack big guys. And then also I want my shooting to come along next year, and I'll be working really hard on that in the summer. Very good. Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Continued success. Have some more double-doubles along the way.
Hey, that's the plan. Thank you so much.
All right.
Good job.
A-Tim Bior with us on the Steve Henson Show out here this evening. If you're looking for a new or pre-owned car, then look no further than Ancira.com. Shop every make and model in one location and get a great low Ancira price. We will visit with Dr. Lisa Campos next. It's the Steve Henson Radio Show from Learfield IMG College. Bud Light's an official sponsor of UTSA Athletics, reminding you to enjoy responsibly. It's the Steve Henson Radio Show presented by Methodist Healthcare. We're out here at the Sandbox at the corner of Babcock and UTSA Boulevard. And we're out here every Monday night, except for next week. We'll be on a Tuesday night. And we have a Tuesday night show next week, and so we'll do that next Tuesday. And it's also a half hour earlier next week at 6:30 next Tuesday. Dr. Lisa Campos joins us, the athletic director at UTSA. Welcome. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. Doing really well.
Thank you for being here. You sat down a minute ago and said, "I can't take this. This is too much drama. We need some blowouts, don't we?"
I have to start dyeing my hair with all this gray that Steve and his team is creating.
I want to take you back to the Old Dominion game a week and a half ago because we didn't really get to talk to you about it, but I've never seen anything like that, and obviously it only happened once before in the history of college sports. So what were your thoughts that Saturday when UTSA pulled that rabbit out?
Oh, my gosh. It was unbelievable to witness that. It was like witnessing the improbable. I had said earlier that so much excitement, but then you also felt so much pride in that gym. And to see the student section, to see the fans, I think that was probably the most special alma mater song at the end of the game, to just feel that pride and people so proud of being a part of this institution. And
then we fast forward to two more a heartbreaking game and I guess a pounding but victorious win on Saturday. You were saying you were able to watch it on your phone while you were at an event on Saturday night.
I was. We watched Thursday night at home, of course, on our TV, and then Saturday we were at the Hispanic Gala, and what a great event. But I do have to admit I was multitasking and watching the game at the table, and really the whole table was interested in knowing what was going on and cheering for our Roadrunners, and was really excited when we got that win.
And in less than 3 years, UTSA is in first place in Conference USA. That's pretty special.
It is pretty special. We obviously have such a great coach, great coaching staff, and what they've been able to do is really remarkable.
Steve, talk about working with Dr. Campos and all the things that you've had to do here at UTSA. She came in midway through your first couple of years here, and obviously there's always that relationship that has to work perfectly for everybody to have the success.
Yeah, it's been exciting just watching how quickly she's getting things rolling. Dr. Amy is highly motivated and moving at a very high rate, and we all know that he picked Lisa to come in here and do some great things with our athletic department. She's done it. It's been fun being around her and watching her work and put her stamp on this program. But she moves very, very quickly and has high expectations, and we really need that. Our first year we said we were getting patted on the back, and we weren't even 500 there for a while. We want some expectations to be raised.
And now you're going to make it even more fun on Thursday when we play Florida International, and that could be a track meet.
That's the plan. They're going to come in here and they're going to play really, really fast. And I think our fans are excited about seeing us at home again anyway. And the fact that it'll be a fun opponent, I think it all adds up. There's a few things that we're already scheduled for the marketing department that are going to help make the event even better. So I think Thursday's going to be a fun night at the Convo.
Lisa, you've obviously have a busy week this week. Wednesday is football signing date, so a big event for Frank to unveil his class. What's in store? I know I'll be out there for that, but what do you guys have in store for that on Wednesday?
Yeah, we're really excited. Of course, I like to be in the trenches with Coach, and we'll start the day very, very early with him. And it's just fun to be with those guys whenever the recruit signs and talking to some of those recruits and their families and welcoming them to the Roadrunner family is really fun. And then, of course, that afternoon we'll have a press conference for the media, and that evening a really special reception and program for our donors and our supporters to really hear the behind-the-scenes stories of what coaches and his staff are out there, how they're recruiting these students, and how they continue to build their program.
Last fall, Dr. Amy introduced the Center for Academic Excellence and the fundraising campaign to start the drive for more facilities. Where are we at that now? How's the progress?
Yeah, it's been such a great project, and really with the thanks to the Roadrunner Foundation and with our staff and with our coaches, we've really been able to program a facility that's going to help all of our 350 plus student athletes. And that's what we talked about. We have so many facility needs, but we said, okay, what is going to be a project that's going to help all students and all of our coaches in their pursuit and their recruiting. And the race building was born. And again, we've been able to do a lot of the programming. We're moving into design phase. And then, of course, as you mentioned, always fundraising for that facility.
Yeah, that's the thing. I know a lot of the former alumni, some of our bigger donors are involved with that to some extent, and always have advice and ideas and things like that. So it makes for a fun time when you start getting input from so many people that are passionate about the program.
Yep, absolutely. And particularly from our student athletes. The architects met with our student athletes to understand what their needs are, and they're living it every day, right? So that was great feedback. And then, of course, from our coaches of what their needs are for this facility.
So how much fun are you having? It's been a year and a couple of months since you've been on the job, so it's got to be a fun time.
It has been such a great year. It's hard to believe that it's already been a year. And we talked about this actually earlier with some staff, that it's hard when you're in the trenches to really look back about and be excited about the accomplishments that we've done or had over the year. We really need to stop and celebrate those, but there's so much more work to do that we're always looking forward and ahead and looking at the next thing that we need to work on.
It's a fun time, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, no question. We're just all excited to see what's next, and everybody's enjoying the progress we're making, and we just know that we've got a great situation now, and it's just getting better, and it's getting better really, really quickly.
Awesome. Lisa, thanks as always. We'll look forward to the event on Wednesday. We'll look forward to the rest of this chaotic but fun basketball season, and hopefully we're celebrating even more things in March.
Hey, thanks so much. And, I know you've talked about it, but these are really important games for our fans to come out and to bring 1,000 of their closest friends, right?
Yeah.
We want a packed gym, and the guys deserve it. Our team deserves it, and our coaching staff deserves it. So I hope everyone, packs that gym Thursday night.
Yeah, let's fill it up for Thursday and Saturday, and then we'll have a couple of more home games once bonus play rolls
That's
around
right.
at some point. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Lisa Campos with us out here at the Sandbox. Methodist Healthcare is the official hometown healthcare provider of UTSA Athletics and San Antonio's most preferred health system for all your healthcare needs. Go Roadrunners. It's the Steve Henson Radio Show, presented by Methodist Healthcare from Learfield IMG College. Hey, Roadrunner fans, Credit Human is proud to be the official credit union of the Roadrunners. Check them out at credithuman.com and go Runners. And Wendy's uses fresh beef on every hamburger every day. Try it for yourself on a Dave's Double and taste the difference fresh beef makes. Fresh beef's available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada. Steve Henson Radio Show from out here at the Sandbox. All right, the other day I turned you loose on your rant on instant replays.
Are we doing that again?
No.
Oh.
I've got a rant it happened to us, and everybody can say, yeah, you're just bringing this up because it happened in the game. But how are you supposed to guard three-point shooters? because if you breathe on them, they call it a foul. And James Harden scoring 70 a game because he's shooting 5 4-point plays a game. To me, I've always learned that the hand's part of the ball. So if you kind of high-five the guy in the past, it was never a foul. But they're paying so close attention to laws of verticality and all that kind of stuff that if you're in the vicinity of someone that shoots a three and he throws his head back and flops, it's going to be a 4-point opportunity.
Yeah, you got to be real careful with it. Try to make sure guys have a chance to land. And definitely can't let guys tip them on the elbow. There's nothing more frustrating to a shooter than having somebody tip their elbow. I mean, that's just the worst.
Yeah.
And you got to protect against that. But yeah, it's we've been talking about this a lot. We actually talked about it a week ago. But when a guy's coming straight at you in a transition situation, it's very, very difficult to contest those 3-pointers. They're coming straight at you, and their momentum is always. You're taught to. They always say straight up, straight down when you shoot, but you don't really mean that. It's always kind of straight up, but you move forward. You're going to move forward a few inches.
Especially with your momentum.
Yeah. And so if you're coming down in transition and you move forward a little bit, so you got to be real careful and give guys a chance to land. And, we talk about trying to contest shots just with a hand in the face. That's kind of an old term as well. Byron on our team probably does as good a job as anybody. I mean, literally puts that hand right there in front of a guy's nose, and it's bothersome, if you get a good contest there. But you start getting up around the elbow and the ball itself, then you run the risk of getting fouled on a 3-point shot, and that could be a bad situation.
Yeah. Against Burks and Elmore, I thought Byron and several others did really well with that face guard to make sure they didn't get the look they wanted.
Yeah, we did for the most part. We were pretty good with that. Elmore's got a real knack for leaning back, and he plays. We were talking about this earlier today. He plays a lot bigger than he's only probably 6'2". They list him 6'3". He's definitely not any bigger than that, but he gets a shot off pretty effortlessly. He kind of leans back, and he's got a little step back and creates space, uses his body. He plays like a much bigger guard.
All right, the league standings right now are compacted. We're one of 3 teams with 3 losses. There's several with 4. And there's not a lot of separation between first and about 8th or 9th. So you win a couple of games and you're going to stay where you are. You lose a couple of games and you're in the second part of the standings. Yeah,
every game right now is so important from that point. From looking at the standings, we like the position we're in, but yeah, it's still a log jam. Things haven't shaken out yet. A lot of people can still move up to first. A lot of people can slide out of that top pod. So a lot of things at stake here, and you see different teams are playing with a lot of confidence right now. People that looked like they were in big trouble 3 weeks ago are playing great basketball. So it's pretty exciting. I mean, you want some parity. I think our league, the bottom teams in our league have improved. The middle of our league has improved. It's good for our league.
Yeah, I think we woke up Middle Tennessee because I think since they beat us, they've won like 4 of the last 5 or something crazy like that.
Yeah, they've done a good job. They're playing with more confidence now and getting accustomed. New coach and a bunch of new players. It's not surprising. If you have new coach and new players and don't get frustrated with some early season losses and can buy into his vision, which apparently they have, then they've got a chance. And they're another tough team.
The scary team right now is Southern Miss.
Yes.
Because they on paper they don't look like they should ever win, but they have 5 guys that are 6'4" that just run up and down the floor and just guard you and frustrate you the whole game.
Yeah, I don't remember where they were picked, but I remember saying when I saw the rankings that they would be my sleeper team, just because their versatility. They've got just a bunch of confident players, guys that can really pass it and catch it. That sounds simple, but most teams don't have that many skilled guys, and all of them can beat their guy off the dribble. Almost all of them can make a 3-point shot. They could switch virtually everything defensively. So, yeah, they're kind of a nuisance. League play started. They were losing their road games, but they hung right in there, and now they've got a couple really quality wins, and they're still in the hunt.
Most importantly, at this stage, you put yourself in a position where you really control your own destiny for these next 4 games, and then we'll get into bonus play after that. But 2 home games and a road trip to Southern Miss and Louisiana Tech. If you win them all, you're going to be in first place.
Yeah, I love the spot we're in. In addition to where we are in the standings, I like some of the progress we've made. If you think back to conversations that we had 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, we were talking about we have to improve offensively. When the league play started, we were pretty good defensively, one of the best defensive teams early on, and we're really not a very efficient offensive team. And we kept talking about our turnovers. Didn't understand why we were turning the ball over so much. But once league play started, our possessions have gotten better. We're valuing the basketball. We've gone from low to middle of the pack to being the most efficient offensive team, and that's because we're taking care of the basketball. And we're getting good shots as well, and we're knocking down three-pointers. But the biggest key to our success here has been the fact that we've had a lot of ball games where we're 8, 9, 10 turnovers in the game, and that's given us a much better chance.
What changed in practice or in the games to kind of flip that switch from 17 turnovers to half that many?
I think, constantly emphasizing it, but just I think guys getting comfortable with their roles, and again,
and there's a sense of urgency in conference play too, isn't there?
Well, sure. Guys are locked in, they're dialed in on the scouting reports. We've been real conscious here the last few weeks of not adding too much. We like to continue to add things to our playbook, but we put a little more pressure on them. Hey, if we're not adding anything, then we need to execute what we already have better. If you add a new play and can get a bucket out of it, it's worth doing it. Because
they haven't seen it.
Yeah, and one bucket could be the difference in the game. So there's value to adding it, and they're unprepared for it. But when we're continuing to run the same plays over and over, there's more comfort level with it. Guys are just doing a better job of playing within their abilities.
All right, Kickapoo Lucky Eagle Casino Hotel and Eagle Pass is the place you got to go to have some fun. Visit LuckyEagleTexas.com to join the all-new Players Club and play your way to greater rewards. Come and play. We're at the Sandbox, UTSA Boulevard in Babcock. We'll talk about the Florida schools next as the Steve Henson Radio Show rolls on from Learfield IMG College. Celebrate a Roadrunners victory at Taco Palenque, and your chance to head out there and invite all the great things on their inviting patio. And fans become a Texas Farm Bureau insurance member today and get 2 free tickets to Roadrunner basketball games when you show proof of membership at the ticket office. Visit your local agent's office for details. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, proud sponsor of UTSA Athletics. Well, we have the Florida schools in town this week, and first up, Steve, it's Florida International, and this is a team that leads the nation in possessions per game, so they're not going to take long to shoot it.
They are not. They're going to play. They're going to want us to shoot it fast, and they're going to want to shoot it fast. I think it'll be a fun game. Really, really looking forward to it. They're talented too. It's not just a bunch of guys out there running around. They've got good players. A senior guard that's been a good player in this league, can make a lot of things happen. They've got some 3-point shooters, so it should be a fun one. They've been pressing up a little bit lately, which will be interesting. I think if we can handle the initial trap, then we'll be able to get it out of there and go down there and get a good shot quickly, which is what we're always looking for. So should be a fun one.
Is there a team that you've ever seen that you can compare them to?
Well, a little bit mindset of back when Billy Tubbs' teams would press up. They would press, and they really didn't care if you scored. Like you and I were talking about, they didn't care if you scored as long as you scored quickly. So they'd press and they get a steal. They press and you break it and you get a quick 2. And now when you factor in the analytics, and if you're trading 2s for 3s, people would be content with that. But yeah, they're really, really committed to possessions and keeping the tempo going. And if we go down there and get a quick 2, they're going to get it out of the net and run it right back and try to get their own quick one. So we'll see how it goes.
It's hard sometimes to get early offense on makes. So when you score, it's mandatory. You've got to get back in a hurry because they're going to take it out of the net and go, right? Yeah, no question.
We need to score so we can set our defense, and we need to get stops so they can't press us. So I mean they can and they will, but it's a little different press after a miss. So if they're scoring and they got a chance to get matched up, and they might even trap that first pass, which is just something you don't see as much nowadays as you did. I think a lot of high schools may still press, but college teams just don't press that much anymore, and I'm not sure why.
You're saving your energy for offense a little
bit. Well, there's some truth to that, and I think people, as the skill levels have gone up and people are playing more guards, when people do break the press, they're ready to score against it instead of in the old days.
I can remember when I, 40 years ago when somebody was teaching me press offense, the 4-man and the 5-man were somewhat involved in handling the ball or passing the ball.
Yeah.
And I hated that part of it because they made me inbound it. I hated that. But but that was always a key. Now that you've got 4 or 5 guards out there, it's easier to break presses.
Yeah, no question. I think that's a big reason why you don't see it as much. And so on the one hand, if the season started, if you asked me if I'd be concerned of playing against a pressing team, I probably would have said no because we've got so many good ball handlers and guys that can convert on the other end. But we've had some times where we've struggled a little bit against traps, like Thursday and Saturday.
Yeah.
So I anticipate we'll see some of that from them.
All right, Florida Atlantic on Saturday, and they've kind of been up and down this year. They've got a new coach this year too, don't they?
They do. And they're not that far out of it. You know, they're winning ball games. They've got good size and 3-point shooters, good athletes. They've got some good wins. Both these teams have some really quality wins on their in conference play. So both these games will be tough.
One thing I've always been curious about, and others have asked me about this, and I remember Red Auerbach talking about this in a coaching clinic one time, and this is end of game situations. When you drop plays for the end of a game to try to get a basket or whatever, is it something that you've already worked on and you're just reinforcing, or are you drawing up a new play and say, hey, nobody's seen this, let's try that? Or is it a little bit of both? A
little bit of both. Usually you like to have some things that you haven't shown before in a game, but the things that you have worked on. Yeah, try to keep it pretty simple. Get the ball get the ball in the hands of somebody that can go make a play, that maybe to score, maybe to drive it and kick it. And occasionally you'll just feel something, right, and say let's run this. But usually it's something you spend a little time on in practice.
And when you don't have a timeout, and there's guys on the free throw line, okay, make or miss, we're going to do this. Is that usually just a play you've worked on in those situations?
Yeah, we've got some go-to things there. You know, we've been involved in several comeback games here lately. We've got things after free throws that we know, okay, hey, Byron's going to inbound it and we're going to do this, or one of the guards is going to inbound it and we're going to do this. And so there's some comfort there, and those are the types of things that you're constantly saying we need to work on that stuff more. But you have a list of about 20 things that you're saying we need to work on these things more. So you just can't get to it. In hindsight, right now, we wish we had spent more time the last few weeks working on end of game situations. But yeah, you've got a couple things that you work on almost every shoot around. You go over, what we're going to do if there's 6 seconds left in the game. What are we going to do if there's 2 seconds and we don't have a timeout? What we're going to do on side out of bounds and there's 4 seconds left. We've got a few go-to plays that we have comfort with.
Good thing to have the ball in Byron's hands in those situations.
It usually is, for sure. He makes a lot of good decisions.
All right, we're out here at the Sandbox. It's the Steve Henson Radio Show. We're out here every Monday, except for next week when it's a Tuesday. It's the newest sports bar in town, the Sandbox at UTSA Boulevard and Babcock. One more segment to go. Steve Henson Radio Show rolls on from the Sandbox and from Learfield IMG College.
Saving money is like getting in shape. Neither is easy. What sounds better, leg day or chocolate?
Final segment of the Steve Henson Radio Show from out here at the Sandbox. Wendy's uses fresh beef on every hamburger every day, so make sure you try it for yourself on a Dave's Double and taste the difference fresh beef makes. It's available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada. All right, Steve, the last segment, a couple of minutes left. What are you working on this week to get ready for FIU?
Well, today we worked on recovering. Our guys were a little worn out. We were real conscious of trying to read our players and see how they're feeling. It was a long trip, like we talked about, in addition to two overtime games. We had a lot of guys playing big minutes, so we went real light today. Got a little shooting in, made sure we got real stretched out. We'll come back the next 2 days, need to be really sharp. We'll talk about FIU's pressure. We'll talk about handling traps, getting back in transition defense, and then just continuing to value possessions, have good offensive possessions. I like the progress we've made on the offensive end. Our mindset's a lot better. We're getting better shots, understanding our roles. Our defense has slipped a little bit. Our rebounding slipped a little bit, so we'll get our guys cranked back up in that regard. And we had those guys right when league play started. They were buying in. We're really fighting defensively, and so we need a couple good segments of practice on the half-court defense.
Your rebounding got better in the Marshall game than Western. You started off good against Western. They caught up, and then in the Marshall game, you were able to win that battle.
Yeah, Marshall's not one of the better rebounding teams. It's not something they focus on. They're working on getting back, trying to get back in transition, and then they're running out like crazy. So sometimes you can steal some offensive rebounds against them. But it needs to be a strength of ours. Atim's a great rebounder. Byron's a great rebounder, and our guards. It's got to be by committee. Guards have to get down in there. Javon had 9 again the other night. It's just such a huge part of the game, and. It's mostly mindset, but you got to work on those habits as well. It's another skill. It's another part of the game that you have to spend time on.
Thanks so much. We'll look forward to this week.
All right. Thanks, Andy.
All right. Steve Henson, the Steve Henson Radio Show. We're out here at The Sandbox, and next Tuesday it will be the next show. We're off on Monday next week because of a Rampage hockey game, so we'll do the show on Tuesday, and it's a half hour earlier at 6:30 ahead of Big Monday on our Big Tuesday next week. That'll do it for the Steve Henson Radio Show. See you Thursday, 6:30 for the Florida International game. This has been the Steve Henson Show from Learfield IMG College.
On the UTSA Roadrunners Sports Network from Learfield IMG College, live at the Sandbox near the campus of UTSA. This has been the Steve Henson Radio Show, brought to you by Bud Light, Game Day's favorite light lager, Credit Human, the official credit union of UTSA Roadrunners, HEB, no store does more than HEB, and by Methodist Healthcare, the official hometown healthcare provider of UTSA Athletics. The